All right, let us move to Nashville, where Virginia will be taking on Tennessee. This is a musket versus a bazooka. So I make that joke because Tony Muskett is the starter at quarterback for your Virginia Cavaliers. The bazooka, of course, belongs to Joe Milton. And Ari, I'm fascinated about this game. JD Piquel and I, we envision nightmare scenarios for various fan bases. And we're trying to figure out situations where even if your team wins, your message board melts down. And JD had, if Joe Milton airmails 3 potential touchdown passes, VolQuest just goes ballistic.
It doesn't even matter what the score is if that happens.
No.
Like they could win 56-0. And yeah. So like he also is one of the most interesting, quarterbacks coming into the season to watch, right? It's like you talk all the time about accuracy and whether or not you're able to improve that, or if being erratic is an innate trait that stays with you, but I kind of get the same feeling about Bazooka Joe as I did last year with Anthony Richardson. We both were talking about Anthony Richardson a year ago about how he could play his way into being a top 5 pick, and lo and behold, it happened. And why?
And they went 6-6.
And by the way, like, I hate to say it, and I don't know if it's rude, but like, wasn't very good at all in college. No. Like in terms of like what you would expect from a production standpoint for a top 5 pick at the quarterback position. And I kind of feel like Joe Milton is kind of in that same place because he has a cannon for an arm. He's a big kid. He's been around the block a lot. Like, how does he have to perform for Tennessee to make the playoff or to be in playoff contention come late October, November? And what does he have to do to be in contention to be a top 10 pick are 2 very different things. And the question I have is, if he does one, will he do the other? And
he's got to be as good or better than Hendon Hooker if they want to be in playoff contention. And that's saying a lot. He doesn't have to be that good to be a top 10 pick.
Yeah. But do you believe that you can fix accuracy problems?
I believe that in the Orange Bowl against a really good Clemson defense, he looked like a different person. That said, he wasn't particularly accurate against Vanderbilt the week before, or the game before. So I have no idea. I really don't. But I can't wait to watch. And if he does airmail a couple touchdown or what should be touchdown passes, then I can't wait to see the push for Nico, because it's gonna come. Well,
the thing about that is that, like, I don't even know if Nico is physically equipped to play it. I mean, I stood next to him 6 months ago, and I mean that he's a very thin kid, and I know that's.
Have you met his dad?
I have, but he doesn't look like his dad.
But he's going to. He's going to
he
look more like his dad, and when he does, he's going to be a 6'6", 235-pound monster.
Yeah, but right now, if you had to throw that kid into the game, like, is he physically able to do so? I think is an interesting question, and like for him to get into a game this year, I think that Joe would have to get injured or miss time for something, because I think the leash is very, very long here, and I think that you also too kind of have to live with the erratic nature of his ability. Like, that's just kind of what it is. And when you pick him to be your starting quarterback, I think you have to go into it understanding that there are going to be times where he might throw a ball in the second row of the stand. It reminds me of that which Mighty Ducks character used to slap shot and it like never went in. But when Fulton. Yeah, it's like, what a shot. And, every now and then it breaks some glass, but when it goes through, it goes through. Just, you have to like live with it. Like Joe Milton is Fulton. And if
not a comparison I expected, but that's why I brought you on.
But isn't that, it makes sense though, right? Like
100%.
It's like, when he slaps the ball, the puck, you don't know where it's going to go. And hopefully Milton will be a little bit more accurate than that, but there will be times where he misses throws or, has issues. And Tennessee just has to be a good enough team to withstand those things, because when you put your trust in somebody like this, you have to anticipate that, what their negative marks on their resume would be are going to show up.
So do we think they cover a 4-touchdown spread?
I do. Yeah. I think that Tennessee is going to be a really exciting offensive football team this year. I think it's going to look a lot like it did a year ago. I mean, I think the quarterbacks are very different, but I think that Tennessee has a coach that knows how to drop some offense. And I don't really know if Virginia has the athletes to keep up. And listen, if you're going to throw a deep ball with Joe Milton, just make sure his heels are on his own 20. And even if he underthrows it, maybe you'll get a receiver that can run under it,
Jalen Hyatt's not walking through that door, although Squirrel White is very, very fast.
Yeah, isn't he fast? Yeah.
they've got some speed. It's not really a concern. All right, Ari. Big noon Saturday. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Coach Prime leading
Mm-hmm.
the Colorado Buffaloes to Amon G. Carter Stadium to face a team that played for the national title last year.
So, yeah, like, have we ever been less certain of what a football team is going to look like coming into a year than we are for this Colorado team? Like, I was
No.
trying to think of like
It's like an
any other team
expansion
ever.
team, except they
Yeah,
got some really good players in the expansion draft.
they have. So, like, here's the thing that I think is really interesting about Colorado. Their secondary looks like it just got off a high school bus, or was in the extras in the Friday Night Lights show, Dylan
Their
Panthers. I was
second, you mean
joking
with the
about.
one with Travis Hunter, the former
No,
number
but the
one overall
rest of
recruit?
it. But I was going to
Okay.
say that Travis Hunter is going to be the best player on the field in all but one game they play this year.
Except for Caleb Williams. That's it.
That's
Okay.
it, right?
I mean, Oregon's got some good players.
I know, but Travis Hunter is legitimately a very, very good. Like, he's like
Yes.
walk in and start at Alabama and Georgia
He
right
could
away.
start at
type
any
player.
program in the
Yeah.
country. Yes.
Yes. And I don't know how much we're going to get of him on both sides of the ball. That's really interesting. Don't know how good Shedeur Sanders is going to be. I don't know whether or not their offensive line can block anybody. Colorado's, that is. I don't know if their defensive line can get pressure. And like, I was impressed by the notion that they went up from number 63 to number 35 in the team talent rankings. Like, that's a huge jump. That's not a one-win team on paper. But now you have also a coach that's competing at this level at the highest point in his career for the first time. And it's just kind of like you have all these moving parts together, and they kind of like, piecemeal the roster together with a bunch of players from all over the place, and some of whom were really, really good at lower levels, some of whom didn't reach their potential as highly rated recruits at other places that are coming in. So it's like, even that the math on that is probably going to be off. So it's like, even if Shedeur Sanders is awesome and Travis Hunter is awesme, like, what if TCU just runs for 7 yards a carry in this game? And
I just worry about Colorado's big people. That's where I'm concerned, because big people are hard to get out of the portal. Good big people are hard to find in the transfer portal. And so you got to deal with that. Also, I just think this TCU team could be pretty good. Chandler Morris was the day one starter last year. He gets hurt. Max Duggan never gives the job back. But Chandler Morris is probably the higher physical ceiling quarterback of the two. And then you've also got, some of these guys they brought in, Trey Sanders, John Paul Richardson, like, they got guys who've played, who know what they're doing. And so, yes, they lost 7 draft picks, and it will look different, but I think they're still going to be pretty good. I think TCU covers this game.
Yeah, I'm with you on this. Based on not knowing exactly what we're getting, and it's possible. It's like, what if Travis Hunter comes out and has 4 touchdown catches? Like, that, like, is on the table because he's that good. But when you're looking at a team that is going to struggle to cover outside of Travis Hunter and has really undersized lines, TCU is a team that is built for contact. I mean, they're a very hard-nosed team. They're disciplined. They obviously know how to work their way around the portal pretty well themselves. It's not just the Dion show in that regard. And if TCU can just run over them and physically manhandle them, is Colorado going to have the temperament to, be competitive? Like, that's the thing. It's like Deion Sanders is, kind of preached about being hard on his team and putting them through hell through the first offseason that he's had there, and, trying to equip them for these types of challenges. But going on the road to a team that, wasn't one of the 4 best teams in college football last year, but was certainly coached like one, that's not an easy thing to open at. So, and on the road and all that stuff, like, TCU is going to be coming out firing. I really, really have a hard time picturing a scenario where Colorado covers the spread.
And if they do, it'll be the story of the week in
college
What's
success
football.
to you? What's success to you for them in this game? In this game,
keep it within 2 touchdowns. Like that, and make it, have it be competitive late in the third quarter. I think that would represent success to me. And if it's better than that, then that's all we're going to be talking about, because we'll be very excited to see them play Nebraska.
38-24, 38-27 type of game, I think that would be a raging success for them.
Absolutely. Because I don't think he has to make a bowl game for this to be a successful season. I think if they win 3 or 4, given what they've tried to do,
but there is a major disconnect from casual fans, Andy, who don't understand. Like, I think there's a lot of people, like, I was in the gym today, believe it or not, And somebody I was working out with was talking about, God, I can't wait to watch Coach Prime on Saturday. They're gonna get the natty this year. And it's like there is a major disconnect between what Colorado is and what like general low level college football fan perception is. And I am also too very curious to see how Deion Sanders behaves in loss.
We will be right back with more picks for Saturday. But first, we got to talk about PrizePicks. PrizePicks, one of our favorite sponsors, and it's daily fantasy that you can play just about anywhere. 31 states, and a lot of the states you can play PrizePicks in, the states that you can't necessarily play anything else in. So if you're in Florida, if you're in Texas, if you're in Georgia, you can have some fun with PrizePicks. And here's how it works. It's daily fantasy. And so you're taking different squares with a player that it'll have a stat line, and you pick more than or less than, and you pick 2 to 6 players and you stack them up and you see what you're going to do. Here's my season pick at PrizePicks. So I've got Wisconsin running back Braylon Allen, more than 1,075.5 rushing yards. Florida State quarterback Jordan Travis, more than 23.5 touchdowns. Bo Nix, the Oregon quarterback, more than 23.5 touchdowns. And Brock Bowers, the Georgia tight end, more than 7.5 touchdown catches. Now, I know what you're saying, Andy, how come you didn't do any less thans? Because I like rooting for people. I don't like rooting against people. It makes me happy. So that's my season-long quest on PrizePicks. I've got one for this weekend as well, though. And it's definitely going to make a couple games. One game I think is going to be really interesting anyway. One game, I don't know how interesting it's going to be. But I've got Michael Penix Jr., the Washington quarterback. This is the one I feel probably most risky about. I picked more than 310.5 passing yards. They're playing Boise State. Boise State's defense is going to be pretty good. But I love watching Michael Penix play. Throws maybe the prettiest ball in all of college football. He's got great receivers. So I'm going to go more than 310.5. Also, when Texas plays Rice, now I know what you're thinking. You're not going with JT Daniels making his third start for a third different team against Texas. Remember, Georgia's the only team that he hasn't played for against Texas. No, I'm going with Xavier Worthy, the Texas receiver, more than 63.5. And if you remember that Oklahoma game when Xavier Worthy was a freshman, I think he got more than that on the first play. So he's a huge play threat. And against this defense, I do think he's going to have a chance to do pretty well. So download that PrizePicks app, use the referral code Andy. It's up to a $100 deposit match. So if your first deposit is $100, they'll match $100. If your first deposit is $50, they'll match $50. You download the PrizePicks app, give them the referral code Andy, and get playing. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be tracking it all season. We're going to be tracking it week by week, day by day, because they're loading new squares in there every single day. And by the way, you can do every sport. They've got the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball. I think they've got disc golf. Basically anything they play, you can play. And there's a free square that they're giving out until the NFL season begins, until the first week of the NFL season. And it is a Dak Prescott free square. So if Dak Prescott throws for more than half a yard in the season opener for the Cowboys, you win. So get to PrizePicks, download the app, referral code Andy, and get playing. The battle for Carolina in Charlotte. I'll call it the Battle of Carowinds. You don't know what that means, but that's an amusement park.
I also don't know what that means.
North Carolina, and part of it is in South Carolina.
How many references do you think you could make if you tried really hard to like references that I would never heard of before or have no idea of its existence? Like, you think you could get 50 in one?
100 per show. Yeah, Carowinds would be the place where, when I was 4 years old, we went there, and there was a free Jimmy Buffett concert for all who had bought tickets to Carowinds. And so that was my first concert, and I fell asleep promptly. Can't imagine what would have made me sleepy that would have been hanging in the air at a Jimmy Buffett concert in 1982. But I'm sure you can imagine. So
that's what they call early exposure.
Exactly. So North Carolina, South Carolina, The Tar Heels are a 2.5-point favorite. The total here is 64.5. Over, and I'm taking South Carolina straight up because I'm going to need proof from that North Carolina defense that it is somewhat more functional.
I'm taking North Carolina. I love Drake May. I love everything that he stands for. I think that there's a lot of question marks on both sides of the ball.
No Tez
for
Walker
both teams.
news yet. I don't think, and I don't know that they're going to get good news on Tez Walker. It'd
Yeah,
be nice if they did, but I don't see it coming.
Yeah, no, I just like, it's hard because North Carolina always loses or plays embarrassing football when people expect something from them, and kind of this year they do have a little of that. But I've just kind of like the side that they're on. I know that people are waiting for the resurgence of South Carolina football here under Shane Beamer, but I like North Carolina in this one.
All right, Ari. Last one, Sunday night, the featured game. I will be there live and in person. LSU and Florida State. LSU is a 2.5-point favorite. 56.5 is the total. I think this hits the over because I think Florida State's best position group is its receivers. LSU's worst position group is its DBs. So they're going to score a bunch. That doesn't mean I think LSU is necessarily going to lose. I just think it's going to be a track meet.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say that they think that LSU is a team that they think could win a championship this year, like win it all.
Right.
And I do kind of feel like LSU is kind of still in that Alabama-ish type territory where it's like, I want to see the proven playmakers that can win them a football game. I don't know that I'm 100% bought in either on the ceiling of Jaden Daniels. Like, I think that Florida State has a quarterback advantage in this game. I think their offensive line is the best iteration of itself that it's been in years.
Still not as good as LSU's probably, but yes.
Probably not, but Jordan
State
Travis is going to be well protected. And of course, Florida State's strength with Keon Coleman and Johnny over there is going to be going right into the teeth of LSU's weakness, and it's like, it's very easy to step your foot in the team rankings trap and like just go for the talent. But like, Florida State's old. They're veteran.
Mm-hmm.
They've got a lot of good players who have already proven time and time again to be really, really good, and they're getting points, So both of these teams, I think, will be in college football playoff contention. I think it's possible that they could play again down the line. But in a game like this, I just, the one thing here is the X factor is Harold Perkins. Like, could Harold Perkins just wreck Florida State's entire night? By himself, because I think
if Mason Smith were playing, it'd be easier for him to do it.
And that's the other thing. He's not playing. So I know it's the grab ass suspension of the century, but he's not playing. So, I just kind of feel like in a game that is kind of 50-50 to me, that I would lean towards taking the points. I think the pendulum's swinging towards Florida State for me.
I take Florida State too. I take Florida State to win straight up. I think for the same reasons you said. I think Brian Kelly has been telling us, he's telegraphing this all season, that he doesn't think LSU is quite there yet depth-wise in terms of being a title contender. And they're going to drop, like, they're going to win probably something they're not supposed to, and they're going to drop something they're not supposed to. This is the one I think they drop to an older team that is just, veteran heavy and very good in certain spots. Keon Coleman, Jared Verse coming off the edge. That's where Florida State has premium talent. They do not have premium talent everywhere. It's not like Georgia. It's not like Ohio State. But LSU's not there yet either. And I think that's what Brian Kelly's been trying to tell us all summer.
Yeah, and he's also alluded to depth issues. And they've had to, get some guys in transfer portal, the secondary, right, to kind of come in and try to bandage some things up. So, listen, I think that Florida State, and you've kind of been on the Florida State bandwagon a little bit longer than the rest of the country in terms of like, this is headed in the right direction. I wonder if Mike Norvell is going to be able to teach a master class on how to build a team through the portal. And then, of course, that matriculates down into being a more attractive destination for high school players, because it's starting to get momentum with some of these 5-star guys in the 2024 class. And it's like, all of a sudden, it's just like, holy crap, like Florida State might be for real in 3 or 4 years.
It's going to take a couple of recruiting classes to get them to that level. But yes, if they can keep recruiting the way they have been, and in this class holds and they have another 1 or 2 like it, it could be pretty good. Thank you so much for watching. Just a reminder, Subscribe to this channel right here so you never miss an episode of Andy Staples on 3. And oh, by the way, watch all the other great videos on the On3 Sports YouTube channel.